Welcome to Martech Legacy. I'm your host Varsha Sarkar, and the topic for today's episode is aligning product marketing and sales for better results. Guest for today is Suraj Dubey, who is the Director of Product Marketing at MoEngage. Suraj has over 12 years of experience in end-to-end SaaS product lifecycle management and has a proven track record of driving pipeline growth through various marketing initiatives. Welcome to our show, Suraj.
Thanks, Varsha.
So let's start off with the questions. I wanted to ask you, as a product marketer yourself, what are some of the key benefits that you have observed when the product marketing and the sales teams are well aligned?
I think in the context of product marketing being a kind of a newbie into a lot of the marketing and growth orgs into companies, I'm sure a lot of your audience are wondering what exact value does product marketing deliver, especially in the context of aligning with sales.
Right.
Typically, in my experience, we've seen huge upticks in some of the key aspects of improving conversion rates for deals, ensuring that the deals close at a higher value
Right.
than they originally intended out to be, or at the value that you at least intend the deal to close at, as well as shortening or let's say speeding up these deal cycles, right? Plus a few other qualitative aspects and areas which product marketing helps to kind of build upon or improve upon. But largely, we observe that where product marketing and sales gel well and work together as a team, and there's good synergy between the two functions. These are the three key areas where we observe significant, noticeable uplifts.
Right.
Right. Just to elaborate, so that is more on the what aspect of, but how does this really happen, right? I think that's where I think that's what would interest a lot of folks.
Yes.
Look at product marketing as a function. We kind of sit at the crossroads of all the other functions, right? Be it success, sales, marketing, product, leadership, and a lot of these teams. What product marketing does is we take insights, learnings, and knowledge that exists within these pockets of different functions,
Right.
and then we help translate that into something that is usable for the other function, right? So, for example, if I'm working with sales on a deal, for example, right? One of the critical aspects for having a successful deal closure or having a good conversation with a prospect or a customer in a deal is customer proof points, right? Who are the customers that are similar to me that you're working with? Who are the customers you're working with in my region?
Right.
What problems are we solving? What use cases are we tackling? How are we doing it, etc. Right? So I think that's where product marketing comes in. We are able to connect with the customer success, or we're able to draw insights, stories, proof points from there, and we're able to quickly translate it into material, assets, language that sales folks can use,
Right.
and hand it over to sales so they're able to bolster their conversations or answer to those questions that potential customers or prospects may have, right?
Right.
So that's one area. The other area is through powerful storytelling backed by market insight or market research. Here I'd like to call out one example where we were quoting this e-commerce client somewhere in the Philippines, I believe. While we had a standard pitch of sorts in hand, one of the things that really stood out, which we discovered, of course, the deal came into RPT, and it was a completely positive outcome for us. So one of the things that really helped us stand out in that conversation is the insight that we got that the product marketing team was able to bring to the deal. So Philippines, for example, is a matriarchal society. And a lot of the household decisions for a large chunk of the population is carried out by women in the household, right?
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, this is a kind of a unique insight or a point of view that we were able to that deal,
Right.
which kind of immediately helped us build that rapport or the understanding of the market into the pitch cycle,
Mm-hmm.
and that helped us carry that deal along very well, which
Mm-hmm.
ultimately helped us in achieving a positive outcome for that deal.
Right.
Yeah, just to and similarly, if you look at different markets as well,
Mm-hmm.
the insights that the PMM team has been able to bring to the table is high context and low context markets, right? If you look at some of the Asian markets, Southeast Asian markets, these are what we call as quote high context markets,
Mm-hmm.
where there is a lot of room for storytelling, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of for having a lot of context in your conversations
Mm-hmm.
and jumping into what your product brings to the table and etc etc,
Right.
right. Similarly, if you look at markets outside of Asia, uh,
Mm-hmm.
these are what we especially if you look at markets like US or pockets in EU, these are what we call as low context markets, right? So here, folks or communication needs to be done effectively, and communication happens with a purpose, right?
Okay. Right.
So people are more direct to the point. They want to get to the facts quickly, cut out on the context, and get to the
Mm-hmm.
meat of stuff, right? So here, we product marketing has been able to kind of bring in product touch points or interactive ways to deliver what we want to say
Right.
quickly and effectively.
Right.
And once the audience consumes that, we use that insight, pass it on to the sales arm, and then they
Mm-hmm.
will that context to then engage that prospect, right?
Okay.
So these are two completely contrasting things that we've been observing. Uh,
Okay.
so to kind of summarize, translating insights that sit in different pockets in the company
Mm-hmm.
uh, into material and language that the other pockets can use,
Mm-hmm.
how we've been able to align and see benefits between product marketing and sales, as
Mm-hmm.
well as understanding of the markets, uh,
Mm.
research on the markets, research on the business, use cases, etc., have been also key areas where product marketing and sales alignments have borne fruit in my experience.
So one thing I wanted to ask is the challenges, because I'm pretty sure as a marketer we face different kinds of challenges. But what are the common barriers that you have observed when trying to align the marketing, the product marketing, and the sales team, and how did you overcome them?
Obviously, when you work in product marketing and you are kind of like I said, you're at the crossroads between so many functions. You're literally working with the entire org,
Yes.
which has a huge potential to create a lot of barriers.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the common barriers, in my experience, have been around basic communication, right? Uh, the consistency in communication. Are we
Mm-hmm.
having a good cadence in communications, etc. Right? The other one being not having or not identifying your champions. Right?
Hmm.
When you work with so many orgs in a company, not everybody, you practically cannot work with everybody in the org, right? You will have to pick out and identify your champions,
Mm-hmm.
and they will be your and turn them into your kind of key driver within that within that micro org
Yes.
within the company, right? So identifying the people or your champions
Mm-hmm.
that you want to work with, and from whom you can get the best uh,
Hmm.
of best value out of.
Right.
Secondly, being that, and thirdly, mismatch between goals and expectations, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're wanting to get something from someone, or when you're looking for that insight from a pocket in the company, the
Mm-hmm.
first thing that you have to demonstrate to them as well is how will this help? How will this help the company? Why are
Right.
we doing this? And
Right.
how can this in turn potentially help them back in the future? These are some of the common areas where we see that there are a couple of barriers, and overcoming these will be super critical for a successful alignment between product marketing and sales.
So have you ever observed any where a misalignment between the two teams resulted in setback for your organization? And what are some of the key lessons that you learned from such an instance?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, it's been a long and hard journey. We made a lot of we've had some difficult situations
Yeah.
along the way where clearly resulting from a couple of these misalignments. One area, I think, at least something that I can recollect, prioritization, right?
Mm-hmm.
We do product GTMs, product
Mm-hmm.
launches. Of course, when you have a multifaceted
Mm-hmm.
product with so many features built in, and a dozen or a half a dozen product managers working on so many aspects. You as a product marketer need to set the prioritization right. So that's squarely
Mm-hmm.
on product
Right.
marketing clearly, right? So when we are not aligned on which ones are our P0 products, which ones are
Mm-hmm.
going to be our P0 launches, P1 launches, etc., that can somewhere lead to a lot of missed opportunities in the market, may even give your competitors an edge or a hand uh,
Right.
over you in the market. And also, somewhere you could be mildly jeopardizing your sales teams as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, just to give you like just an instance, there was this one time where we kind of missed a key feature in our prioritization,
Oh,
and a competitor was able to do a faster GTM on that,
okay.
which led to quite a few uncomfortable conversations and situations for us as an org,
I can
right?
imagine. Yeah.
So one of the learnings from there also is, so the latter part of the question that I'm answering is that regardless of how you do your prioritization, how can you solve this through effective communications, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Even if you're not doing a dedicated P0 launch for a product at least, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you able to still pull off a minimum viable, product asset or uh, or any kind of a talking point or a cheat sheet around those features at least,
Mm-hmm.
and be
Right.
able to, put this in the hands of your sales teams. So
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow, even if someone else is doing a faster GTM or doing a big GTM on that product, although we also have that feature or product,
Mm-hmm.
our folks should be able to hold a conversation around that, or at least be able to use what we provide, and
Mm-hmm.
have some kind of a cushion or comfort on talking around that product or the feature in the market, right?
Right, right.
So I think, yeah, that's been a learning where, don't rely on fancy big bang launches for every
Mm-hmm.
product. Doing something as little as having a minimum viable asset around a particular product or a feature can go a long way in equipping the sales and the field team.
Since you talked about product launches, so during a product launch, what are the steps that you take to ensure that both the product marketing and sales team they're fully aligned and they're prepared and the language is all the same? So what are the steps that you take?
Yeah, so yeah, definitely a product launch. It's a pretty complex process. It's
Mm-hmm.
got a lot of moving parts, a lot of people involved. There's a lot of communications, processors, etc., involved. So while it may seem, so when we look at a product launch externally, it
Mm-hmm.
seems like a pretty streamlined and smooth process, but internally there's a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes that
Right.
lead to a product launch, right? Like a successful product launch.
Yes.
So how do we really pull this off together while making sure everybody keeps a level head and a balanced head over their shoulders?
Mm-hmm.
It all depends on, how are we able to project manage and, drive this whole exercise, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we rely on creating extensive trackers, for example, for every product launch, right? So it all begins with securing a product roadmap from the product team, right? It all begins from there because we first want to know what's coming up
Right.
before we get into launching any of those, right?
Right.
Now within that, we identify which are the P0 items that are coming up, P1s, P2s, prioritization, like I mentioned earlier, and creating processors and extensive trackers for activities, coordinating with different teams, setting priorities there,
Right.
understanding their goals, understanding our goals, and setting our alignments there.
Mm-hmm.
So good processors, making use of extensive trackers, even a lot of tools, right? Today we have so
Right.
many interesting project management tools,
Mm-hmm.
campaign management tools, internal collaboration tools, etc., right?
Right.
So we use a lot of these tools to drive some of these processes and project manage the whole exercise. Two is working backwards. We would ideally like to first set out by saying, look, this is what we wish to achieve.
Mm.
These are the metrics that we will achieve. These
Right.
are the numbers that we wish to see with this product launch, right? So these could include things like trials started, trials completed, abandoned, upgrades in revenue, upticks in product usage, customer NPS even, right? So once you have your end goal in sight, it
Mm-hmm.
becomes far easier to align everyone towards those. So without telling people what is all of this going to achieve or what are we going to accomplish with all this, it'll be quite difficult to get everybody on the same page because everybody in the org has their own set of goals. Everybody is pursuing or working towards hitting their numbers and goals, right?
Mm-hmm.
To make sure that everybody sees how it will help them or how it will help in their goals is something also basically working backwards also is something that we have found to be effective in driving a successful product launch. Third one, selling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Internal selling versus external selling. I briefly follow this rule of 60-40 where we do 60% of the selling internally and 40% of the selling externally,
Okay.
right? More than how we can tell or how we can equip or enable sales teams to go and sell externally, we must focus more on selling this to them internally, right?
Hmm.
If folks are internally not 100% enabled or 100% communicated on what is
Mm-hmm.
the product value, how will it help the prospect, how will it help the customer, and
Mm-hmm.
how can they internalize this in their pitch and
Right.
use their conversations, it is going to be quite challenging to expect that product to then sell externally, right?
Right.
Because ultimately it's your sales, it's your field folks who are going to do that job for you of
Mm-hmm.
communicating a product value externally, right? So
Right.
I think a good 60% of our efforts goes into internal enablement, internal trainings, internal learnings, using a lot of these training and learning and LMS tools, etc. And dedicated product sessions, regular cadences around product, facilitating interactions between sales and product, etc. So to
Mm-hmm.
through these, we do a lot of internal selling for these products. Folks are very clear on what value the product delivers, what
Mm-hmm.
kind of questions or what kind of hurdles or obstacles that they can expect from the market for a product like this, etc., etc. So once they are completely convinced or once they completely internalize these aspects, then
Mm-hmm.
execution becomes a lot easier.
So Suraj, my last question. Are you currently experimenting with any innovation or tech that helps you align the two teams better?
Yeah, yeah. Few things that we extensively kind of innovate or we kind of figured out on is having a sense of real timeness to what product marketing does, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a matter of, oh, we got our products, uh, this is how we plan our quarter, this is
Mm-hmm.
what we launch. And once we do that, we close that chapter and we move on to the next quarter.
Right.
Certainly, that kind of an approach not going to be sufficient in a very cutthroat SaaS environment, right?
Yeah.
So we bring in a certain kind of a real timeness into how product marketing works with sales, and this we specifically observed in some of our deal assets.
Okay.
So the example that I gave you earlier, where outside of the product stuff, uh, we were able to in a real time, uh, in a real time-ish manner, plug that with a market insight, right? And then help bring out the best or a winning narrative in that deal, for example, right? So constantly working with sales, having our regular check-ins with them, understanding what are they working on, uh, sitting into those sales conversations, even if you're just a fly on the wall, even though you really have nothing much to contribute to the core contents of that call. Just sitting in, listening in, understanding what are they pursuing, who are they pursuing, what are they looking to, solve or pitch to that prospect or client. Just developing this understanding and then using that to then reach out to those teams or individuals and helping them with a market insight or a product insight or a research insight, goes a long way than
Right.
just sitting and doing product launches, right? That's one. Second one is democratizing knowledge and insights uh, within the company, right?
Right.
So, like I said, we kind of sit in the juncture of a lot of different teams. We work very closely with the field teams. So, we are kind of accumulating a lot of this knowledge coming in from the field, uh, coming in from the customers, coming in from the product. So, how do you kind of create a process or create a way in which there is a continuous stream of knowledge inflow and outflows that are happening from the product marketing team,
Right.
right? Um, these could translate into something as simple as a newsletter that we put out, or a, or a consistent Slack announcements that we put out, or enablement sessions that we do, etc., etc. Right? So when you create these properties which are kind of bursting with insights and burst with knowledge that folks can take and use, naturally people tend to gravitate towards you and they kind of have tune in to listen to what you have to say, right?
Right.
So by democratizing these or finding ways to democratize these insights and knowledge, we've been able to see a lot of ways in which we've been able to add a lot of value to different teams, especially the sales teams in the organization. Thirdly, investing and working with a very good enablement platform or an LMS platform also goes a long way. Uh, we I'm we've invested in a lot of tools that help us do this. GTM Buddy is one tool which I'd like to call out.
Okay.
It's been really great working with those folks, and the tool has been really helpful. It kind of works as a great repository for all of the product knowledge, market knowledge, business knowledge. It kind of really helps for our sales folks to discover content, material, etc., rather than relying on communication tools or relying on individuals to supply those to them, right?
Right.
And also gamification is something that we've been recently experimenting with. So we conduct a lot of incentive-based training exercises, quizzes even, where
Right.
we reward salespeople and GTM folks for participating in these events, participating in trainings, participating in quizzes, which goes a long way in pushing or helping these folks internalize some of the product and business and market research material. So sales folks are kind of inherently competitive
Yes,
by
definitely.
nature,
Yes.
right? So when we club that nature with the aspects of gamification and things like that, it works out really well.
Right, right. That's great, Suraj. And thank you for so much time. It was definitely a very informative conversation. I'm pretty sure our viewers got to learn more about what exactly product marketers do and why it's extremely essential to align the product marketing and the sales teams so that the organization can grow. And with this, we conclude our today's episode of Martech Legacy. If you have liked it, then please do like and subscribe to our channel. Until next time.